think it really comes down to how much media attention they receive. So for example, you wouldn't ask somebody like Michelle Obama or a writer like Jeanette Winterson to spill the tea about their lives, but when an actor like Will Smith publishes a memoir, there will be lots of articles and headlines that are highlighting like the juiciest bits from his book.
Hi, I'm Shabir and welcome to the Library Report, a series where we discover exciting stories within our libraries and chat with the people who make it all happen. In this episode, we explore the genre of celebrity memoirs and find out what is it that makes them so fascinating. Stay tuned to the end of the episode for a chance to win something special. Our favorite celebs, the hottest showbiz A-listers. We want to know everything about them, and there's no better way of getting the inside scoop than through their memoirs, or so we think. Join me and our guests today as we unravel the truth or lies behind celebrity memoirs.
Hi, I'm Desmond. I teach at NTU, and I've written a couple of books that cross genres, fiction, poetry, and non-fiction.
Hi, I'm Malia, a librarian at the National Library Board, and I curate reading programs for adults, including the appreciation of literature such as memoirs.
When we talk about memoirs, one especially popular subset is celebrity memoirs. So, to you, what is the difference between a celebrity memoir and a memoir written by a non-celebrity?
Memoirs, as you mentioned, they're not always written by writers. They might be written by public figures like politicians, influencers, or even athletes. But they're not all celebrities per se. And I think it really comes down to how much media attention they receive. So for example, you wouldn't ask somebody like Michelle Obama or a writer like Jeanette Winterson to spill the tea about their lives, but when an actor like Will Smith publishes a memoir, there will be lots of articles and headlines that are highlighting like the juiciest bits from his book. And I think that's really the way that we talk and we write about them really shows who we consider to be celebrities.
There was this great memoir by Bonnie Hicks, a model, beautiful. And around 1997, she came out with the book, Excuse Me, Are You a Model? And at that time it was a bestseller, sold out its first print very quickly. And it was really nice, reading about a woman coming into her own space, her own power at that point in time, where there were very few, sort of kiss and tells on the modeling and fashion industry in Singapore, right? And today, we study it as very important literature to talk about what post-colonial literature was like in Singapore then, So it's great, these books that we have.
We've seen a surge in the publication of celebrity memoirs lately, and it's clear that there is a, huge appetite for it. What do you think is driving this demand?
There's always been a fascination with celebrity culture, right? So when a celebrity decides, or their agent decides that is something that is good for their branding, it's very exciting because we get a sense of what the celebrity is thinking about, a deeper sense of what their lives are about. We hear a voice that we don't see in their, say, performative work, if it's an actor or say even a politician, right? Suddenly we're seeing such a real sense of their lives. Fans want to know more about these celebrities, right?
So take for example My Story by Marilyn Monroe is actually a very early example of what we have come to know as a tell-all format of the celebrity memoir, because in her book she was really clarifying things that people knew of her in the media, gossip, tabloid news, and I think that's what we as readers have come to expect of celebrity memoirs. We want to know the truth from the artists. We want to know their story told in their words.
I mean, even in fiction, Virginia Woolf said that a good novel is like reading gossip. So celebrity memoirs are basically that. They're not fiction, right? The truth about these celebrities, right? So yeah. So people approach it like they're getting a slice of life.
Yeah, and I think in terms of demand, you'll be quite surprised at the kind of demand that these celebrity memoirs get, because people really, if they have an affinity with the celebrity, it really shows in the sales. So for example, we have Prince Harry's Spare, which is really on the fast track to becoming the number one non-fiction book of the year because to date there's more than 1 million sales of it in America. And it really begs the question, why are we so interested in Prince Harry, and what do we think we'll gain from reading his memoir?
When it comes to celebrity memoirs, I'm pretty sure, the average reader is not going to have the same kind of experiences as the celebrity, right?
Yeah.
So, can we really relate to their experiences and truths?
For celebrity memoirs, they don't always write about their experiences of fame and in their glamorous lives in the media. They sometimes cover chapters of their lives where it's before their fame and it's more intimate and perhaps more relatable for the average reader. So for example, we have Trevor Noah, who was the host of Comedy Central's The Daily Show, and he released a memoir called Born a Crime. And the title of it is very interesting because basically the memoir is about his experience growing up as a child of mixed race in South Africa at a time where interracial intercourse was illegal, hence the title Born a Crime, because he was literally born a crime. And I think as a reader coming from another part of the world, it's very illuminating because the experiences that he's sharing growing up in South Africa is not something that we know of here in Singapore. But there might be some bits that might resonate with some readers because he does talk about the domestic violence that he and his mother experiences as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different from reading a history textbook or a sociology textbook,
Yeah.
right? When you get a first-person account of what it's like to have endured, survived in these situations, you get a really different sense of it. There's a real ownership of that struggle and pain, right? And so there's so many lessons about culture, about selfhood that we learn from memoirs. Very important lessons.
Do you think celebrity memoirs have any literary merit, or are they just intended to be played up by the tabloids?
So for example, Alan Rickman's memoir, Madly Deeply, The Diaries of Alan Rickman. So exactly as the title suggests, they are a compilation of his diary entries for over 2 decades. So they are completely unmediated, unedited, and presented exactly how he wrote them over the years. And first of all, you've got to admire the man for keeping a diary consistently for 2 decades. Wow, I can't do that. But it also shows a very intimate side of him because they're diaries. And also the thing about diaries is that they are day-to-day thoughts. So sometimes some entries can be quite mundane. He just details what he does in a day. But maybe to the average reader, it's quite interesting because what is the daily life of an actor? And of course, there were some more salacious bits that the reports were writing about. They were teasing out bits that were related to the Harry Potter franchise, like, oh, Alan Rickman said that Daniel Radcliffe was a bad actor. But these entries were taken out of context, and he can still have a very tight relationship with Daniel Radcliffe, but at the same time be critical of his acting skills at the time because he was just a child actor. That's fair. But another thing that I really appreciated as a reader when I was reading them was that it was just beautiful writing, and it showed this side of him that really treasured the relationships that he had in his life, like his friendships with other celebrity figures, and also his ruminations on acting and how he really valued it.
There are celebrity memoirs that feed into an existing public image of the celebrity, and then there are the ones that break away from the brand and causes the public to change the way they think about the celebrity. Do you think this helps or hurts the celebrity?
It really depends. I think of Sylvia Plath, who won her Pulitzer posthumously. And after she's died, when we read her letters, her journals, we get a very different sense of who she was, right? They add to her confessional poetry. And we don't get that sort of information from her confessional poetry. Some of the insights that I get is that she was actually a very sweet person, a doting wife. She was really there for Ted Hughes, her husband. And she did a lot of the scribing for him, the invisible, a woman behind the big poet who was Ted Hughes. And she was very ambitious. She was very ambitious and a very skilled writer. So these are these wonderful insights that we have from her own letters. So letters are a very interesting form of writing the truth of our own lives. They are the epistolary form, right?
So I think with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, there's a lot that has been said about them in the news, and concurrently the couple is also trying to build a sort of personal brand for themselves. So it's quite natural as a reader to be very skeptical of what is being said about them and what they are trying to say about themselves. So you could say the memoir might be an exercise in dispelling these myths about their image. And what came across to me was that there are parts of it that were really authentic. Like, for example, we know that it's common knowledge that Prince Harry's mother, Princess Diana, passed away in a tragic accident. But what I didn't know as a reader was that he never got to see her body. And that's so baffling because it just completely made sense why he couldn't have that closure and grieve properly over the loss of his own mother. And you could really see it as part of the narrative, but also as him as a public figure, how this shapes his life and how it shapes his identity as a royal and as a man coming of age as well.
I mean, Spare is a great book, right? But there's still this question of authenticity because Prince Harry didn't write the book himself. So, how authentic can it be?
A lot of storytelling is about this idea of self-mythologizing, and that myth can again have a life of its own when our readers take their own interpretations based on our stories and our memoirs.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to ghostwritten books, we just have to do away with that bias as a reader. And if the reading experience was immersive enough for you and you don't even think that there's a third person who's talking, and that is the success of the ghostwriting, I would say, because eventually it is the truth of their story that the star, or in this case Prince Harry, wants to convey, and that is what's most important.
And that's a really good point, how immersive it is, and that's the skill of a good ghostwriter.
Yeah.
I think the harder part are the industry, sort of like things, right? Ghostwriters have to contend with multiple drafts. Sometimes the celebrities come through with all these, details about their life, and they can be raw and gritty.
Yeah.
And then when the drafts come back to them, the celebrities say, no, I don't want these in there, right?
Yes.
Because these should not be made public.
Yes.
And they might be the most exciting bits about that memoir, but we have to respect the celebrity because the celebrity is the one that has to live that life when the information goes out, right? So that relationship between celebrity as talent and the ghostwriter as storyteller is such an interesting, important relationship that comes hopefully through a sense of sort of mutual respect and being present to each other.
There's this trust that you would be able to tell my story better than me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, trust is so important. Trust is so important. Even in that professional engagement, that relationship, right?
And I think this really reinforces how vulnerability is a huge part of memoirs, whether you are a literary writer or a celebrity writer. You're still bearing it all for the reader, and that's a very scary place to be in.
Is it ironic, though, that while most celebrities call for public to respect their privacy, by publishing memoirs, they're essentially inviting attention and public scrutiny?
Yeah. I think some people assume that when you are of a certain stature as a celebrity, you're a public individual, that you lose the right to that privacy. But I think increasingly there's a great deal of respect for, honoring everyone's privacy, right? And when it comes to celebrities, they are sometimes held to a very high standard as a moral exemplar for citizens of the world. And that's a tall order for them because, they're human beings, they're fallible like all of us, right?
Perhaps that's why there's that drive for them to publish a memoir. So when you think of female celebrities such as Emily Ratajkowski or Paris Hilton, who are very known for their beauty, and of course we know how the media tends to spin a narrative about females sometimes. So I think the memoir for them is really their chance to reclaim the narrative. And so, for example, Paris Hilton, we have a very fixed image of her as this sort of dumb blonde persona. And I think in her memoir, she does a good job of sort of leaning into that dumb blonde persona, which is quite telling because that self-awareness already tells us that she's actually a lot smarter than she looks, or at least how she's painted to be by the media. And even in her memoir, she shares a lot of personal details, such as how she is neurodivergent and how she grew up with undiagnosed ADHD from a very young age. And when she shares these experiences of her childhood, of her upbringing, I think it does give a lot more context to the reader. It might not change their perception of her as a celebrity, but it does give you a lot more of understanding of where she comes from.
Yeah. So that big reveal, right? That big reveal of say a condition that she has, that takes an act of courage, right? To tell the world that little bit about her life. Kate Christensen, also a very good memoirist, said that she was very fearful of being judged all the time, as a memoirist. But she said better to be judged on the whole truth than an equivocation of the truth, right? Because then that's your life, right? You want the world to know what the truth of your life is. But she knew that the ethics of writing a memoir was also about not offending people. And I like that as being very healthy. If someone wants to write a memoir, how many people are going to be affected by them? The people who are named in the memoir. So that's the responsibility of doing the work of memoir too, right? It's all a big act of courage.
I'm remembering this part in Prince Harry's memoir, in which the last part of it, where he's already married to Meghan Markle, and he mentions that he looked into the amount of hate that Meghan was receiving on social media and in the news, and the amount of hate that she got was just incomprehensible. It's just, you couldn't imagine how much hate that she was getting.
Yeah, it must be really painful for these celebrities, because they make one wrong move and, the flaming that happens, on social media can be in the hundreds of thousands, if not, more. How can one human person take that sort of assault, right? Especially a celebrity. Yeah.
And sometimes there are no wrong moves, they're just living their life in the way that they want to.
Exactly.
They kind
People
of
have all these opinions, yeah. And they can really be unkind, when they see these experiences from the outside.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that reading these memoirs won't it create some level of empathy,
That's the hope, isn't it? That's the hope, that memoirs are a gift to the world as well, that it helps us become, better, kinder people as readers. And hopefully everyone else has a memoir that they could write as well. Yeah, all our stories will enrich everyone else's lives. Yeah.
I love that.
And thank you for joining us in this episode of the Library Report. And there you have it. Whether you're a fan or just curious, a celebrity memoir is worth picking up, and it's a great way to get us all reading. And before you go, if you would like to stand a chance to win a $30 gift voucher, comment below on what is your favorite memoir or autobiography and why. And don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you get an alert next time when we upload a video. See you soon.